Okay, before we get into public input, I'd like to take just a minute. Not everybody's here this evening, but this winter has been an incredibly bad winter for all of us, including our workers. The folks at Highway, day after day after day after day, Saturdays, Sundays, and even on holidays, are out there cleaning our roads. Yes, we get complaints. Yes, there's mailboxes knocked over. It's the nature of the beast. When you have that much snow, it's bound to happen. In the middle of all that, especially over the last month, water and sewer has been out there almost every day and nights. Knocked over fire hydrant here, a busted line there, and a whole lot of freeze-ups. Rich, you said there was 13 freeze-ups so far where water service is interrupted? 11? We got 11 thought out so far. And that's a whole lot of work when people don't want to be working. Recreation has 3 guys in their crew that have been out there also, 5:30 in the morning, day after day, cleaning up so that we can conduct business here. So I personally want to thank each and every one of the workers who has done that. I want to thank you 3 guys for your leadership in helping your people to do this work. We're very happy and we're very proud of what the work that you and your guys did. So thank you. Now we'll go to public input. Brian, do we have anyone who wishes to speak? Lori?
I'll say a quick thank you too on the plow drivers. They've done a great job on our street this winter so far too, so thank you. I just have a couple questions. Has the date been set for the hearing yet?
No, they finally did manage to transfer the case to Niagara County. Is physically here.
Could you speak up a little bit?
But a judge has not yet been assigned here in Niagara County. So until a judge is assigned, we don't have a date.
Okay. All right. And then the other question, has Quasar approached you about changing or modifying their operations at the plant? No?
Not me.
Okay. And has a decision been made by Ag and Markets?
Not to me. It has
No?
not come to me yet.
Okay. All right. Then, I understand the remediation plan is on hold until the date is set, right? Okay. Is the emergency plan still under discussion, or is that on hold as well?
That actually, I think, has been discussed by the Fire Advisory Board. The Fire Advisory Board has considered that and had discussions on that, yes.
Okay. All right, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Brian?
Good evening.
Evening.
Just wanted to know if you heard anything back from the lawyer on Cobblestone.
Yeah, they are working. Yes, the answer is yes. We got a letter of clarification on a few items. The school has apparently gotten back to them stating that they are that they stand by the original letter under the seeker process. Mm-hmm. And Mr. Palumbo wanted to know if that's good enough. Of course, if that's what the school wants, that's good enough.
Okay.
There were a couple of other points that he asked for clarification.
Yeah, I think
I don't know if I can remember them.
I don't remember them off the top of my head either, but I think Drew is helping us to respond.
Right. We have not actually responded to his letter of clarification.
Okay, so no meeting has been set up as of yet?
No meeting has been set up at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Right. I did, Brian? Go ahead.
Time period in which we have to respond. I know everything's on clockwork with the seeker process, 30 days to do this. Is there a time period?
Actually, there isn't. This is the time frame is on the applicant now to submit a draft environmental impact statement. They're just asking clarifying questions and whatever. I'm drafting up a memo that'll go to Bob. Bob will review it and present it to the town board. Because you, as the lead agency, will tell them, yes, this is a clarification to your comment or they've requested meeting.
So the ball's still in their court.
Ball's in their court. There's no time frame on you right now. They're just asking clarifying questions.
Okay.
But we couldn't sit on that letter for months, right?
No, I mean, yeah, if you sat on it for a year, they probably would have a problem. They even say in the letter that we would like to hear back from you in a few weeks. The letter, I think it was last week.
Okay. Brian, that's it? Okay, then we'll move on to, I guess for the record, Kathy, all board members are present. We have a set of minutes from February 23rd board meeting. Does anybody wish to move those in for approval?
So
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Gil, second by Larry. Anything on the question? Anything anybody would change in the minutes? If not, then all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved. Okay, 4-0 and 1. Bill payment is a small one this month, $105,186.65. The voucher numbers are 2015-208 through 291. Does anybody wish to move these in for payment?
So move.
Moved by Randy. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Art. Any bills that anybody wishes to hold or ask any questions? If not, then if you're in favor of approval, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? They are approved. Move on to departments. That would be Paul. Highway?
Right now, we shared services. I have found a fountain out here with a very large snowblower on front of a loader. They're trying to push some of the banks back and make it easier to get the mailboxes. They're also making it giving us a little room, so if you do get 6 inches of wet snow, it ain't all gonna end up in your driveway, so hopefully stay on the side of the road instead of getting carried down the road. We also have a loader out, pushing it back. They don't try to damage your front lawn, try to keep on the edge of the yards. When he's pushing back to make room for the drains, so the water will flow when it's starting out. Well, when it's melting today, we want to get the drains open, so the water will take off. Today, we went over to Eagle Chase, who's had problems before with flooding, and opened up all the drains out of the roads. Scotty has to go over there to help out a little bit with his machine, and cleared out the empty lot where we had flooding come through, looked in the pipe, and sure enough, there was a pipe, what was about that big around? A log about that big around, firewood. It wasn't from the woods, it was from somebody's backyard, stuck in the main drain pipe there. If everybody just keep an eye on your drains, I mean, don't stack firewood and stuff that's going to float away and get stuck in them. There's so many different pipes in town, I can't check every one, and we try to go around and check the ones that we know are going to be a problem, but fortunately, Scotty caught it, before we had a chance to even find it, and we got it cleared out. The only other thing I had is about the chipper, and I don't know if you want to bring it up now, or...
Yeah.
Probably as good as any, at least to bring it up.
Okay, I got a state bid price on a new chipper. Our current chipper has 8,000 hours on it. It's from 11 years old. The new chipper I had budgeted $43,475. The bid came in at $38,540.20. I didn't get a chance to get it into your package because you didn't get back to you with all the questions I had until Friday last week.
If we hold off until the next meeting, is that going to create a problem?
Well, there's only one problem I had is talking to the salesman. This chipper will have a Tier 3 motor on it. What that means, it has the old cruise control stuff on it, a lot less moving parts go wrong. Once they run out of them engines, we have to go to Tier 4. If we go to a Tier 4 motor, it's going to increase the price, and it also increases a lot of the pollution stuff that goes on in the motor. You end up losing horsepower, and we found it even with our new dump truck. There's so many more things that can go wrong once you start putting all that other stuff on.
Is it legal to buy the way it is?
Yes. This is state bid.
Paul, the old chipper, you said it was like 11 years old?
11 years old.
Are we going to be able to then put that on Auctions International and get
Well,
some...
I've actually had the mechanic go through it. I mean, it's a viable machine. But last summer, every time it broke down, it was down for a week, 2 weeks, and we get that far behind. I'd like to keep that machine so when we get an ice storm, we get a heavy wind, we can send 2 trucks out and hit the town faster. Last January, remember we had with an ice storm, we had all that brush was down. Nobody else will loan you a chipper because they're doing the same thing you are.
So we have one chipper but 2 leaf suckers then, right?
Right. And that one of these trucks is about ready to go too, but we'll talk about that later.
You got the room to store it without a problem?
Yes. Well, we'll find a spot for it. I shouldn't say no problem, but we'll find a spot.
Okay, gentlemen, do you want to, does anybody wish to do a motion at this point in time?
I will, because I see no reason to wait for 2 weeks. The price could go up, and knowing emissions like I do, it's only for the worse. I love a clean America, but I know what you're dealing with. So I would like to make a motion to allow Paul to purchase that chipper.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Anything further on the question? Then all in favor of buying this chipper, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Go ahead and buy your chipper. Anything else, Paul? Anybody else have anything for
I have a question. Last winter, Stevenson Court, we had some cross piping that heaved, and we had driveways that came up. Was there anything happen this year, or are we just getting immune to it?
I haven't received any complaints. I'm trying to think, going through there, I've been through there several times.
Okay, just
There's
asking.
a lot of crossovers that some do.
But last year they complained, and this year, I guess no news is good news.
Well, there were 4 driveways last year that had raised as much as 6 inches.
Oh yeah, I saw 'em. Yeah.
And this year, they're not as high. They are raised, but they're not as high. The one guy, I work with one of the guys that is involved, he puts a 2x6 in the country curb, and he drives over that so we can get into his driveway. So, it's not quite so bad this year. That's it?
Yep.
Okay, then we'll move on to water sewer. Rich?
As you said, Bob, we've had quite our issues with frozen lines and leaks and odds and ends. We were able to get our crews out earlier this year with the backhoes to help clean out the fire hydrants, but since we've had all these issues, we haven't had time to send them out again. I'd like to say thank you to Mike Rinaldi for his guys going out with their front loader and cleaning out fire hydrants for us. It's a big help. It took a little bit of pressure off since we can't get out there. And I'd like to thank Paul for his midnight crew the other night. They kind of saved us on the water leak we had over at Hoover and Brent. We had quite a bit of water in the road, and they were able to come out right away with salt rock and help alleviate some of the issues there. If anybody can, you see it on the news tonight, there was 2 fires that the fire departments had to take time on digging out the hydrants before they could get additional water besides what they're carrying on their trucks onto the fires. If you got a fire hydrant close to you, can you give us a little help to just uncover the top of it at least, so it's a little bit easier to find? It'd be a tremendous help for us if there is a fire.
And they didn't state it's because of the low water pressure, but somebody died in each of those fires. There was one person that died in each of 3 fires.
Power away from the crews on the trucks. If you gotta leave 1 or 2 guys behind to shovel out a fire hydrant, that's 2 guys that could be up there at the scene fighting the fire. That, you know, it's gonna take additional time to get everything hooked up on a hydrant. So any help is greatly appreciated.
Okay. Anything for Rich, guys? Thank you. Mike, Recreation?
Happy to help, Rich. Happy to help. I am proud of the way the relationship I have with the other department heads. We have a really good rapport and a kind of like a shared services program. You know, I've been working for the town since 2001. Gosh, I can't believe that chipper's 11 years old. I remember the old one. You know, I don't remember a time where we, you know, worked interdepartmentally like this, like we do now. I call Richie, you know, to snake a line out front of the youth center, and he came right over with a couple of guys and shot the camera down there, and that was great. Things like that, you know, that saved us a lot of time of digging and everything. I mean, so hats off to you guys for the help you guys do. Same with the highway. They came and did the job for us when we got our new building. They put the stone in for us and leveled that all down, and that would have taken my guys days because we don't have the equipment or the manpower or the skill to do that. So I thank you guys as well. We have a couple things coming up. Our deadline for baseball and softball registrations is actually next Friday, coming up real soon. We're ready to go. We got good numbers coming in this year. We're really eager to get on the ball diamonds eventually. We have a Nerf night coming up March 13th. And our Easter party is coming up as well. And that's Saturday, March 28th, 10 to noon. I think that's all I got. And a spring break camp coming up March 30th. I'll plug that again at the next meeting. But that runs until April 6th.
Don't you have a kids' dance on the 20th?
The 20th, the Shamrock Shake Dance.
That's for middle school age. But
I didn't make the name up.
okay, anything for Mike?
I have one question. How's the front entrance there, concrete you redid on the the gym over there, is everything was
That's
good
fine,
this-
yeah.
everything's good this
Everything
year?
else is kind of breaking down, but that seems to be going pretty good for us.
Okay, I know last year it was a problem.
No, yeah, we're all good there.
The
We had
You're
another
having a problem with the internal door, right?
to
Wasn't it for the youth center that the internal door was scraping this time?
the women's side entrance
Maybe that's.
did heave a little bit, so we just took the plate off the bottom and it was just catching on the plate, so that will just only get worse over time, which we found out with the front door. We put it off for years, and then finally it was, Paulie's guys are taking a grinder to it, and, you know, we took 3 inches of concrete off. Had to get it replaced, so I can see that happening again. It's a smaller pad, though.
Mike's done an awful lot of work at the community center also. We have problems at the community center with leaking because of the ice on the roof backing up into the building, and we do have Wendell looking into that. Gil has been working with a guy from Wendell as well as with Mike Clock to try and resolve the problems that we have over there and hopefully resolve it so it doesn't happen again.
Right, because we have a huge icicle problem over there. Now we have a leak problem in pretty much every room we have.
Okay, Mike, thank you very much. Arlene, what's going on with seniors? It's not going to be cold anymore. We have Irish in this town. Oh, good. Sounds good. Good. Thank you. Drew, anything from Wendell?
Just have the one item, which was the report on the Niagara Falls Boulevard overlay and the Niagara Falls zoning. And you have a proposal in your hands to, if now board wants to continue with that project and move forward.
Okay, this is to provide services related to the Niagara Falls Boulevard zoning project in accordance with proposal letter dated March 5th at a time and expense fee of $6,500, not to exceed $6,500? So I'll put a NTE on that. Does anybody wish to make that motion at this time?
So move.
Moved by Art. Do we have a second? I'll go ahead and second. Anything on the question? If not, then all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That's approved. That takes care of our departments. We're at regular motions, Bob.
First motion is to accept the Green Space Master Plan and thank the Green Space Focus Group for their efforts in developing that plan.
Does anybody wish to make this motion?
So move.
Moved by Art. Do we have a second? Again, I'll go ahead and second. Anything on this question?
Going through the plan, I don't know whether we want to change anything. It's been out for quite a while now, but I was looking through the play areas and some of the established parks, and there's a park in Lakeside that I guess the HOA owns, the homeowners association, but it's still, I don't know whether we want to label or, put in this type of thing where playgrounds are in town. I mean, people that live in that immediate area can benefit by it. I know it's one that Mike Rinaldi and his crew, they don't repair, fix, or maintain, but
Well, that's not open to the public. That's only open to
People in the homeowners.
people in that homeowners association.
okay, but in the same regard, we listed Veterans Park in the city of North Tonawanda. But, I mean, I don't know, if you want to list where these attractions are, I don't know where you'd not listed one and why you listed others, but
A lot of that probably comes from before. It's just items that probably weren't changed, right?
yeah.
parks that were listed, were based on the original plan and some comments from University of Buffalo.
Okay.
It was intended to be example-ish more than totally encompassing. So in another week or two, or a month, or a year, there might be another park, and was it meant to be fully everything?
Some of it probably came from the recreation booklet. Some of these are probably in the recreation booklet too. And I see Adams Fire is listed on there, but I know that recreation maintains a small park at Johnsburg Fire. I know the one at Shawnee has a baseball diamond, but I don't think recreation, we don't have an agreement with Shawnee anymore.
No.
But I was thinking it would probably be better to include, even though recreation doesn't maintain Shawnee, but they do Johnsburg, I think. Do you? Okay. I mean, better to list everything that you can think of so that it's documented, but maybe the next revision, if this revision's already the print, but as you keep a list of revisions for the next revision in a few years, you may want to.
Larry, which one is that? I'm kind of recorded for this group.
Oh, okay.
What,
The Lakeside, is it called the Lakeside Homeowners Association?
I think so.
There's two of them.
Lakeside Patio Homes Homeowners Association.
Yeah, and it's like if you come down Cy and Furchin and turn onto, I'm drawing a blank on the,
Well, I think if you go down Rock Dove,
and if you take Rock Dove to Lakeside and turn left,
Right.
it's right at that intersection of Lakeside and
Lakeside and a field.
Lakeside.
It's right next to the field.
It is, it's an open field.
Yeah, that's the northern section. There's two lakesides. It's the northern lakeside.
Yeah.
The very last thing on that lakeside drive, beyond that is just field.
Yeah.
It's the last structure, and it's right on the edge of the Ryan Home development there.
And then later, on tonight's agenda, we're going to be talking about a lakeside, a trail, and some PIPs that we may be taking or delaying some action on that tonight, but there's a proposed trail that, and I don't, so it's just, there's some entities out there that I don't know whether this thing's supposed to document everything or just document, the more attractive ones, or.
Well, it's documented a lot of things, but, this is the 15th revision, and we've revised it as people come up with it.
Yeah,
Two ideas. I would hate to not have you pass it because.
We'll pass it, but
Pass it with the addition of this, it's on computer, so we can change it, but just like how long you wait before you say, okay, we're gonna approve it.
I went through and we read it all, but then I started going back through and started to focus on the bullet points that were there, because sometimes you don't read the bullet points as close as you do the.
Interestingly, there are a lot of green spaces in town, whether they're town-owned or homeless space association owned, or theoretically owned by somebody, even if that person is involved in California, no idea who. But it's still good to highlight all of our assets so that we don't forget anything, and forget what these places are supposed to be. So therefore, when the developer comes in, nobody comes in, we are reminded as to what it was, so that we can investigate it early on. Other green spaces, clearly Cherry Grove and Shawnee and Riverside Park, those are the main things, but Woodland down, we have other properties that deserve our attention.
Is this something you would want to put in there?
It can wait. I mean, as long as we get it in. I know if you take a note, if you get it in, every time you come up with a policy or a plan or something,
Well-
you're getting notes for the next revision. So whenever the next revision comes out.
I think that if you want to include those now, include them, because we haven't printed out. We only had a sample of about 15 copies. We will make more copies. So if we're going to make more copies, we might as well bring it up to date now while you have the information.
What I'll do is we've been trying to stick with my computer just because, this program was written by other people, and we
Right.
realized that it probably would have been better just to start from the beginning. So So we've been trying to stick with my computer, but what I'll do is I'll name it and then give it to Kathy. Then she can do the major printing. Would that be okay? I'll figure out what the name of it, what the actual name is before I.
Well, if Art and I agree, we can amend our motion to accept some certain changes, adding certain properties, certain park areas. And then you can change it and. Art, any problem with that?
I agree with that.
So we'll amend the motion slightly to add properties as notified, and then you can have a finished copy ready for Bob, and that will become the green space plan.
Sorry I didn't get those to you sooner, but I wasn't,
Well, it's a good idea.
I wasn't concentrating on the particulars, I was reading the bulk of the.
Yeah,
Well, it's better that people read it and that's correct.
and one of the major changes that this group is still working on has to do with conservation subdivision, but that's not at this point part of the master plan, other than basically it's a line in that plan, correct? That we will create a conservation subdivision, but we have not created that yet. Okay. Anything else? Anybody? Before we approve or don't approve this, I do want to give our appreciation for all of the work that the three of you and everybody else in your group has done toward this end. I know how often you meet. Quite often you don't even have a room to meet in. But it's excellent work, so thank you. You're here. Okay, then, all that being said, we have a motion and a second. Is there anything else on the question? If not, then all in favor of modifying the green space to accept the green space master plan signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? You got your plan. Okay.
Next motion is to create an additional MEO position for the water sewer department.
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved by Gil, second by Randy. Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved.
Next motion is to designate Tim Devontier as a water sewer 1.
Moved by Larry,
Second.
second by Art. Anything on the question? This is simply a matter that he now has enough time in to move up to the level of water sewer 1. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved.
Next motion is to hire Jessica Maurer as a Zumba instructor.
I'll go ahead and make that motion.
Second.
Second by Gil. I know, I'm the one that needs it the most, but
I don't know about that.
Right now, I think.
I need it. Okay, anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved.
All right, the next motion is to schedule a public information meeting for the Fairmont Park Improvement Project and then I think you can set a date and a time. I don't know how lengthy.
We sort of agreed with Bernie that it would be the next meeting, the 23rd, March 23rd, that he can have Jeff Les back here to make that presentation. I don't think it will take more than 15 minutes. I think if we give it 15, we'd be good.
We already have one that night, so you know.
Okay.
We have one scheduled at
Drainage
7:15.
easement. At
Oh, yeah, we have the
7:15.
okay.
Okay, then why don't we make this 7:30? We'll just do it at the beginning of the meeting. Okay? Is that okay? I'll make that as a motion. We need a second.
I'll second that.
Second by Art. As soon as it's done. We'll go into public input as soon as that's done. It pushes everything back a little bit, but if we start this too early and it runs along, it's going to run into the public information meeting. It's probably better this way. If anything further on the question? Then all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved.
Next one is to approve the contract for drainage engineering services and PIP inspections with CRA. This is a bit easier because it's actually basically an hourly rate contract, and PIP inspections would be set by law.
Does anybody wish to make the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Moved by Randy. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Gil. Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved.
I also had a motion for general engineering services with Wendell. I don't know whether we have full agreement in terms of compensation. If we do, you could move forward. If not, we can hold that till the next meeting.
I believe we did have at least tentative agreement on that from the last meeting
Okay.
at $1,500 less than was originally proposed in their contract.
Okay, as long as everybody is fine with that, I think we're probably ready. I did have the contract was attached to my packet.
Does anybody wish to make that motion?
I'll make it.
Moved by Art. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Larry. I don't remember the exact number that it was. Maybe you might want to say it's 23.5 and it's going to 22 or something to that effect.
I actually do have it here. It is $2,560 per month, which is reduced from $2,685 a month.
That's their base retainer for their basic services. Anything further on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved.
All right, the next motion is to schedule a public hearing on proposed public improvement PIP fees, and I think this should be the next next meeting as well, and I would suggest 7 o'clock.
Wow, we're going to be busy that night. Anybody wish to make that motion?
So moved.
Moved by Gil. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Art. Anything on the question?
Are we gonna have, you provided us, Bob, with a list of what the current,
Yeah, I also, in my packet, I have a list, I have some pros, yeah, so I think we would probably follow Lewiston, but we'll tighten that down a little bit.
okay, so we don't have an exact idea of what the new fees are gonna be.
No, the idea is to have full-time inspections during the installation period for public improvement projects, and the idea would be to have the engineer meet with the developer to work out a construction schedule, and then make an estimate of how many hours would be required, and that would be the way that would be handled.
So, at the time of the public hearing, will we have the new fees so that we can adopt them that night, or are we gonna talk about it and then adopt it later?
No, I think we'll probably have it ready, but I don't think it's going to be a flat fee. I think it's going to be a it's going to be a formula.
Formula.
Yes, we'll have
The
that.
ones are somewhat of a formula too.
Right.
It'll be less. I think it'll be a less exact science than the current formula. I think. But yeah, we'll have it. We'll have it ready to
We're
go.
gonna publish that before the public hearing then?
Yes.
Anything further on the question? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Yeah.
So we'll be good and busy at the next meeting.
All right. We are not going to move forward with the next motion, which would have been PIP applications for the Wheatfield Lakes patio homes, and there's two reasons for that. One, as we've just said, we will be adjusting PIP fees, so better to adjust the fees before we get into this next project. The other reason is that the developer was supposed to, and probably did, install a walking trail through some wetland areas, but obviously it can't be inspected now because it's under some snow. So until that is able to be inspected, we won't be moving forward with that. Then we also, next motion is to approve the subdivision application for the Shawnee Clemmer subdivision, and follow the motions that are in the outline.
Okay, does anybody wish to make the motion regarding the Shawnee Clemmer subdivision?
So moved.
Moved by Randy. Do we have a second? I'll go ahead and second.
On the question?
Go ahead.
And this is just approving the preliminary plat?
This,
It will identify the delineation or the area for the wetland, and we really don't have any final layout yet.
this is the final layout.
No, this is approval of preliminary plat. This is still a final step of the final plat. I mentioned Art, and I apologize, you guys were talking. That's an issue in the final plat, they're gonna know where the wetlands are, and that's, I mean, it's better than a deed restriction, will be on the map, so the people buying will know that wetlands way at the back kind of thing.
Is it coming back to us again, or is this the approval?
You have to have final plat approval. It comes, they have to put the final plat together to be signed, yes, and you'll have the resolution to approve the final plat.
That will come to the town board or the planning board?
I believe that comes in, all approvals for town, for subdivision are town board.
Mike?
Well, basically, it's gonna be the same plan. There's nothing's gonna change. I mean, the wetlands are designated on the preliminary, so it's gonna be nothing more than saying, instead of preliminary, final. So there's nothing gonna be different. That's what, originally, I thought we did that last month. I thought this was gonna be for the final plot.
This motion, the last whereas says preliminary subdivision approval.
You issued seeker approval at last meeting.
Right.
Allowed you to have the public hearing.
So that's why I
Now
thought-
you're issuing preliminary plat approval, and then it's a simple thing, they submit the final plat and all the forms acceptable, and then the approval of the final plat. That's how your law is written, that's how you do your law.
Okay, when do I find out about the CIP then?
That'll go, are you doing any public improvement?
No.
You don't have any PIPs.
No.
You're lucky.
Somewhere right.
The final plat is in the form to be signed and filed, as you know, with the county. That's been reviewed by the town attorney and the town engineer to make sure that final plat meets all requirements. It's pretty much what you had. There's a couple minor changes to it that makes it a final plat.
And what are those changes? Who do I talk to about those?
It's in the law, but Tim, either the Tim Walker or Tim Duber.
Okay. Fair enough.
And then it comes back to you to make sure all those things are in place,
Okay.
that before it's filed, then they sell lots. So that is your last statement of saying, it's filed and you can sell lots.
Mike?
Actually, sends it to the county so that those lots are then
Identified.
Major subdivision, it's filed with the county.
Mike, I made the motion. I know the only comment we had from the public at the time we had the public comment period was I'm not sure if it was the square footage of the house or the value of the house.
It was a value.
The value of the houses, and you had quoted a number. Is there going to be any way to assure us that these houses will be what you've told us you're going to build?
You know, I'm not gonna say no to somebody if they say they wanna come in and build a 4,000 square foot house. But realistically, I would say that if we're gonna be building a roughly 18 to 2,000 square foot house area, somebody's not gonna come in and wanna build a 4,000 because they're not gonna get the equity, quote unquote, value for their house. So we're looking at between 18 and 2,500 square foot houses, which would run roughly between $250,000 to $300,000. I can't see anybody wanting to build a more expensive house at a lower, quote, income area, you know, so.
Well, and I think this is
I mean, we can't, I guess my question would be to you, I mean, you're telling me that I gotta restrict somebody from building a certain size house if they wanna build one there, as long as it conforms to the codes?
You're actually going to live in one of the houses there, right? So I think that's a little unusual. The developer will actually be living in the subdivision and probably not.
That's true, on the other hand, because I'm gonna be promoting myself as far as building the other houses as well. So, I mean, it's one of those things of, I wouldn't wanna live next door to somebody if I'm gonna be building a shabby house that, they're gonna be coming over to my house, knocking on my door, asking me to, do repairs and whatever, so. To answer your question, size-wise, I'm only going on an average of what the area is warranting, in so much as, I mean, across the street, there's, 3,000 square foot houses, but I don't know if that's even close enough for a proximity of saying we're gonna be building bigger houses. I'm pretty much looking at building, like I said, 18 to 2,500 square foot houses. If even the 2,500 would probably be the very, very, very high end, because I'm not a builder that tries to build that humongous house. I'm looking at, it's a moderate size. I was looking at this area as being an area of empty nesters, downsizers, retirees, or first-time buyers that are looking at trying to keep their costs down as much as they can so that they can, down the road build up or move or do whatever they're gonna do. I don't know if that answers your question or not.
Randy, I don't think there's anything in our law that gives us a dollar amount that we can put on home building. Plot sizes, patio homes, there's a definition of patio homes and things like that now, but I don't think we can specify an amount of money to be spent. This is a preliminary subdivision approval at this time. Who made the motion? Motion was made by Randy and passed by me and seconded by me. Anything further on this question? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the preliminary subdivision is approved.
There are a couple of additional motions that I forgot to add, and the first one would be to reappoint Walt Bissett to the Board of Assessment Review, and that's a 5-year term.
So moved.
Moved by Gil, second by Larry. Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved.
We also want to schedule a public information meeting on the Niagara Falls Boulevard Overlay District proposal. Not probably, and I think we want to do this on a non-board night.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to try and find the time. It's getting very busy.
I don't think...
Break coming up too, which
Right. Yeah, that's Friday the 3rd.
We're not under real time constraints to do it. We should move it forward, but there's no real time constraints.
Is there anything on Wednesday, April 8th?
Why, where do they go, underground? Just a point that I might bring out here.
Please.
Like we did for FEMA a couple of times, we had some meetings even on the weekends, maybe a Sunday or a Saturday afternoon. This is only for public information, and only those that are interested will come. I mean, it's not like it's got to be a Monday through Friday business night, I would think. This is information for folks involved. I don't know, it seems to me that if you're crammed for time, let's try to squeeze it in on a weekend sometime.
Is a weekend better for the businessmen on the boulevard?
I don't know that it's any worse.
Busy time?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe they're open on Saturdays and Sundays, I don't know. Just trying to toss it out there for thinking about.
Because it's public information meeting, we really don't need a motion, right, Bob? We can just announce it?
Yeah, we can announce it. It's really what I think everybody wants is input from the people who would be impacted by the plan. So Yeah, I guess it could be announced later on.
We'll be probably looking for maybe the second week of April, and we'll discuss the best time to do that. The first week of April, of course, being Good Friday, the week of Good Friday. And we'll definitely be able to announce it at our next meeting if we do pick that week.
Okay.
That should be plenty of time, Drew. Okay, so we won't actually have a motion on that, Bob?
That's fine.
Are you done?
Yeah, we don't need to do anything here, do we?
That doesn't have to be. Okay, then we'll move on to board member items. We probably will have an executive session later, contractual issues. And we'll do that after the meeting is over, and there is a fair chance that we'll be taking some action after that meeting. Larry, do you have anything on for tonight?
Just from Bob's packet, I know we're not acting on it tonight, but the electronic recycling agreement sounds like it's going to be something that's coming up in the next meeting or so.
Yep. We could act on it tonight if we want.
Well, there's a few parts that I think are missing. That's the...
We don't have a expiration date, I guess Bob was saying.
Yeah.
Right, that's right.
Is it something that's be run by Don Tim at the county too?
We have an agreement with Sun King right now, and we're paying 20 cents a pound for CRT televisions. The other dollars are the same. They did not change. The rebate back to us is the same as what we have now. The charges for light bulbs are the same as what we have now. The difference here is that Don Tim has worked this agreement out with the county that any town can jump on board, and we only pay 10 cents a pound for televisions instead of 20. These are strictly the old televisions, not the plasma televisions, not flat screens. These are the older style or CRT televisions. They charge us because they don't make enough money on it to justify the work they have to do. So we'd be going from 20 cents a pound to 10 cents a pound. Sun King has a few more stipulations as to how they want it packed. Rich's people would have to pack the CRTs on separate skids from everything else. They're supposed to pack light bulbs separately as well, I think, Rich?
Yeah, we have light bulbs.
If you bring your fluorescent bulbs in, whatever, it's supposed to be wrapped up separately from regular electronic recycling.
Now they have batteries in that on here, alkaline, lithium. We don't do anything with batteries, do we?
If somebody drops them off and they go, we get charged for it. Because they're not supposed to go into modern. You have to have a way to dispose of them.
Take them to Value Home Center.
Yeah. If it's, so it's not a very expensive process for us, but it does cost us some. It's part of an $850,000 line on our account. We're probably spending $500 a month, give or take.
So do we profit any on this, or is it a positive?
We no longer profit because of the televisions, primarily because of the televisions. We used to make a few cents, but not much.
The old computer monitors are CRT too, so any of those we take in as well as the old style TVs.
Yeah.
But we don't have a choice, because modern won't take it anymore, right?
The choice is they're going to take it over to Liberty Drive and drop it out there, and we pick it up in the spring and pay for it then instead. So, you know, it is a service that we need to offer.
Right.
We can pass it tonight if you want to pass it tonight, or we can wait until next meeting.
Made it sound like you had a couple things you wanted to tidy up, so
Yep.
we're ready for it next meeting.
Okay, then let's be ready next meeting. Anything else there?
Anything else? That's all I have, thank you.
Okay, Gil?
Nothing.
Art?
Fire Advisory Board. Mark, do you have a report and comments?
We met last Monday the second, to review the comparative reporting information of the planning board. Also would like to, thank the water department, the rec department for helping out with the hydrant. Fire department did the last month, they're trying to get out and, again, help with the rec. Windy days, when the killers, dig one day and get a wind. Our next meeting is, Monday the 6th at 6, or at 7 o'clock. volunteer fire service in Niagara County, and with service in Niagara County, I think the town board needs to go the right thing on taking and stand against legalizing fireworks in the county. And obviously, at this time, the legislation felt the same. They didn't even vote on it. Pulled the entire portion off the agenda.
Thank you, Mark. Veterans Group, Justin? Justin, could you give us a brief report from the Veterans Group, please?
Yes, we met up a few days ago. We were talking about how much we were going to be looking into fundraising in particular, and all donors, big and small. And we're finalizing ideas on how to get a more or less professional fundraiser, a fundraising system that we can plug into to be able to start getting some commitment with regards to the Village Memorial at Fairmont Park. And that's our primary thing. Other than that, we talked a great deal about the archaeological and other site surveys, but of course such things can't be done now because of the and that's part two is the resolution article. So I won't really have anything. As always, anybody can come to our meeting every first Thursday at 7 o'clock at the community center.
Thank you, Justin. And the last thing was our focus group. You've heard what Wendell has been doing and taking a look, and we are setting up a meeting here coming up in April to take a look at some of the overlay district zoning and the lakes on the boulevard. So that pretty much just concludes my report. Thank you.
Okay, Art, thanks. Randy?
I have nothing.
We are, okay, we're working on Damon Morey's response. That has not happened yet. I did get a letter from Niagara Falls Memorial asking us to support their getting a catheterization, a heart catheterization lab up here in Niagara Falls. I think we discussed it amongst us, and we agree that we're going to go ahead and give our support for that. Do we wish to put that in the form of a motion, or just go ahead and send a letter of support? Okay, I have a motion from Art. Do we have a second? We have a second from Larry. And all in favor of supporting Niagara Falls Memorial signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved. We talked about Fairmont Park presentation on March 23rd. One of the focus groups is discussing some work here, possibly looking at future library services, and we're at a point where we need to do a little bit of architecture work. And I would like to propose that we authorize payment of $3,000. Is it Friesen?
Frizzlin.
Frizzlin?
F-R-I-Z-L-E-N.
He's the architect who designed the community center, and he's been working with the Town Center Focus Group. And this would be to give us a layout of what a potential library could look like. So I'm going to make the motion to do $3,000 payment to Mr. Frizzlin, Carl Frizzlin, I believe it is. Moved in second. Anything on the question?
Do we want to maybe business or no? I know some of the issues we're having over at the community center. And I know Frizzlin did the community center, but I don't know if your issues directly caused by the design.
This is only a preliminary picture of potential. This is not the final design of a building. It might, he's already been involved in this at a couple of meetings and some work back and forth. It might get a lot worse.
Else up to speed may cost more.
Might,
Yeah.
at least for this level. At least for this level.
I guess what's the next step after this? Are we
Well, we don't know if the town board is going to be prepared to go to the people with a request to do our own library. It's been recommended to us by Niagara that at the size of our town, we should really be doing some of our own services. We've had a group working on it for a while. And it's just a matter, we're still in the very preliminary stages of being able to bring it to the people to make a vote as to whether you do or do not want to keep things the way they are, or whether we want to do our own. So it's just to get off the ground.
And there is some possibility of grant funding, and the grant applications would be due in September, so this preliminary work would be required so that a grant application could be submitted, among other things.
Would this be just one concept he'd be drawing, or would it be several of them, and the committee would choose from them?
It would, presumably for this amount of money, it would be a preliminary drawing sketching the sizes and shape of a potential building. Obviously, it's going to be changed in final design, but it gives us something from which we can take a look at numbers, get a proposal out for the board, and eventually a proposal to the people.
To follow with Larry, what is our draw to Carl, or why him versus? What's our draw?
He
He designed that building.
Community center, and it would probably make some sense to have there be harmony between the two buildings, among other things. Now, the group, the Town Center Focus Group has spent a fair amount of time in reviewing plans. I've participated as a supervisor, and we've gone to a number of libraries throughout Western New York. We went to Medina, Newfane. Most of us went to Lewiston. Some went to the one in outside of Clarence. I can't remember. But there's on that focus group there are Newstead. There are I think 3 librarians who have a pretty good handle in terms of what what should be included.
Could you read the motion one last time?
Motion would be to approve, basically, coming from fund balance into the planning board budget, contractual budget, to use for the, it won't even be a contract, it'd be approval for architect Carl Frislin to create a preliminary design as requested by the town focus group.
In the
Town
amount, is
Center
there a
Focus Group.
dollar amount?
3,000.
3,000.
Can in his letter, or actually Bob O'Toole's letter to us, he said a total of about 3,000. Can we put in there not to exceed 3,000, up to and not to exceed?
Sure, fine with me.
Because it could come in less. Otherwise, we'll get a bill for 3,000.
Okay. Kathy, did you get that? Okay. Not to exceed 3,000. Anything further on the question? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That is approved. That's it for me. We will have as I said, yes, Paul?
I forgot one thing, drainage committee's gonna start meeting again. We're gonna try a different day, the third Monday of the month. It'll be on March 16th, 7:30 PM at the highway garage.
Okay.
If that date doesn't work for everybody, we can adjust it, see if we can find a better date, but I have a conflict on Wednesday. It's very hard for me to make that day,
Okay.
so,
So that's next week, Monday.
next Monday.
Our next meeting is March 23rd. We're going to be busy that night as we have a public hearing at 7 o'clock. That's a hearing on PIP fees. We have a public hearing at 7:15 on a condemnation of an easement on Rose Court. We also, at the beginning of our meeting, we're going to have a presentation by Jeff Lisbeck from Foyt Hatch McDonald, I think it is, having to do with Fairmont Park improvements that are coming up. Hopefully we want to get that released this year. That being said, we'll go back to public input again. Is there anybody who wishes to speak on any subject? Sure, Joe?
Unfortunately, I had to excuse myself this meeting to attend the zoning board of appeals meeting.
There you go.
They shouldn't be holding their meeting, in my opinion, they shouldn't be holding their meeting
thank you for your comment. Anybody else on any subject? Joe?
You said you're holding your meeting over their meeting.
I did my schedule first.
You'll be in two places at once.
Can I just
Laurie?
ask one more question of the highway
Sure.
director? On Rachel, in the last week or so, they put the bump signs up.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for a car to get swallowed up. I've been there 27 years, and I have never seen it as deep as it is right now. And I know you really can't do anything with the weather.
Well, I'm hoping over the next few days, with warming up, we'll start cleaning up again.
Okay.
We can put coal patch in, we've done it before, it's $100 a ton.
I mean, it usually does
Yeah, we
come
put it
back
in
up.
and then we sweep it off the next time through. I said when we put the bump signs, we'll slow down a little bit. If it doesn't pop back up for the next week, we'll have to put the patch in.
Because when you're going toward Nash, the side on the right is actually starting to like crack open.
Yeah.
And everyone is going toward Nash is driving on the wrong side of the road as slow as they can, even just to avoid that one side on the right. I know it usually comes back up on its own, but I've never seen it that deep.
Maybe we'll throw some minutes, take some of the curse out of it a little bit.
Okay.
Don't fill it all the way up, we'll put a little bit in it, so you can find out.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else on any subject? If not, then we will move on. I'd like to call for an executive session. Does anybody wish to move for an executive session on contractual issues? I heard move from Art, second from Randy. Anything on the question?
That would be town board, town attorney, town clerk, CRA. And I think that's, do you want to have anybody else?
That's fine.
No.
Okay, then, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We are in executive session.